Hey, good morning. Welcome to another very exciting episode of the Real Deal podcast. Happy Friday. Someone said happy Pi Day 3.14. So it's all those things, but it is Friday. What a nice, it's been a long week, but getting ready for the weekend. But another incredible episode on its way. So let's get it. All right, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal podcast. Again, I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Happy Friday, March 14th. And like I said, I got an incredible guest that wants to share her story. And this is the Women's History Month series, which I've been enjoying, just highlighting and featuring a lot of incredible women on the show over the last 2 weeks. And I still got 2 more weeks, and the schedule is almost full. So be on the lookout for that. But you can follow the show on all podcast platforms, wherever you consume podcasts, Spotify, Apple. We're also on BS3 Network, BS3TVLive.com, BS3 Network TV, BS3 TV, Roku. We're on Spreaker and all the podcast platforms. Also, you can follow the show on all social media as well. I Get the Real Deal on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. So all the social media platforms, also on YouTube as well. All right. Well, let me bring in my guest. She reached out to me on Instagram. We kind of just connected a couple of weeks ago, and she wanted to share her story. So I'm all for that. This is what this platform is all about. This podcast is all about sharing stories and giving them the platform to be able to share their story and get to know them a little bit better. And it's only right. As it says, Women's History Month. I had Serena Morales on yesterday. She said Women's History Year. So I'm going with that theme as well. So like I said, it's not about just highlighting the women in media and sports just for a month. We highlight the women all year. So I have Payal Doshi on the show, digital marketing professional, host of Inside the Purple Room, Passion Projects podcast. You check it out on YouTube and all the platforms there as well. So Payal Doshi, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. Love being on.
Thank you for reaching out and connecting. And we're here. And like I said, I'm glad to connect with you and network and hear your story. So thank you for tuning. Thank you for jumping on the show. And I hope I said your name right. I was practicing it right. Payal Doshi, right? That's
Doshi,
it, right?
close.
Doshi. Okay, Doshi. Yes, I've been practicing
Yes,
it and everything too.
fantastic. So good.
Thank you. Really appreciate that. Well, how are you doing? And again, thank you for coming on. And how things are going with you for this beginning of this new year.
Yeah, doing well. Lots of changes this new year.
Mm-hmm.
Looking to finding a new season in my life right now. So kind of figure out what that is, navigating through that, and exploring and having fun. I feel so much relief, so much excitement around, especially this time of year with March Madness getting going,
Yes.
and the
Mm-hmm.
playoffs around the corner.
Yep.
Big NBA fan. I know we'll get into that,
Me
but
too. Me too. So
yeah,
for
things are going good.
all right, that's great. And like I said, we just connected on Instagram a few weeks ago, and so I love I've listened to some of the content you've got out there, and definitely ready to hear your story. So we'll start there. Start with who is Payal Doshi first and foremost, and how did you get into the digital marketing and hosting and things like that? Your love of sports first. We'll start there. So
Yeah.
floor is yours.
Definitely. So I grew up, I have a younger brother, and my dad was really big into, I would say, sports, or just pushing us into doing sports. So baseball was literally my first love. I played third base.
Okay.
I followed the Blue Jays, was really into, so I was born and raised in Toronto, Ontario, and loved when the Blue Jays won the World Series. I was all about it. Mind you, I was 7, so I couldn't really cheer out on the streets with
Yes.
the others. But as I grew up, it was like sports was something just for me. I loved the pastime. I loved watching it on TV, understanding how different facets of the game worked. And when the Raptors came into existence in 95,
Mm,
I knew right there and then this team, this was a team I was going to follow from its inception. There was just something that triggered me to really learn and understand the sports. Like, yes, I watched the Bulls, but I didn't really follow them like I followed the Raptors.
yeah.
So all throughout elementary school, I was, understanding the sport, would collect newspapers, cut out various articles, save them, stick them on my board, and then start writing in my agenda. Instead of homework, I would write game summaries,
Yeah.
really engage myself. And
Mm,
then, that evolved into cassette tapes, and then cassette tapes that evolved into VHS tapes,
yep.
and
Yep.
recording games, analyzing them. And when I would go to a Raptors game, I would be sitting up in what was then called the Sprite Zone, and literally with a pen and paper, just like writing summaries or like what happened in this first quarter, analyzing it just on like my little notepad. And my friends thought I was like absolutely insane.
Yep.
So did my parents, but it evolved into my passion that turned into my profession. So when I entered university, in a typical South Asian culture, your parents want you to grow up being a doctor, lawyer,
Mm,
dentist. I was like, family, that's not me. I was not good at math. Science was never my strong suit.
right.
I'm definitely going to go into something that was different. I wanted to be different. I wanted to do something that not many South Asians were doing, and especially women. And that was like my goal and my dream was to be a sideline reporter for the Raptors. I
Okay.
mean, things didn't actually translate that same way, but in different facets, I would say I was able to evolve into who I became as someone who started a niche with the Purple Room, as you
Mhm.
mentioned.
Yeah.
I was I would like to say I was like a pioneer, kind of starting it out, especially when YouTube was not really a thing. It was definitely coming up. It was on the rise, but it wasn't established to what it is today. And so I literally I had painted my room purple, and I would have my speaker stand was my makeshift tripod, and I had a mini DV camera, and I literally point and shoot and talk about a game at like all 82 games.
Mhm.
And then I'd go and I'd learn to edit them and put them out there. And that was the way I would say I got my experience, because I was
Okay.
literally one woman doing multiple things at once.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. Everybody, I guess I love to hear the journey of how people got into different, the different the background of how they got into like the sports media or sports in general. And your story is almost similar kind of to mine, which is interesting because I was the same way. I would cut out the newspaper clips
Yeah.
and newspaper articles and really study box scores. And
Mhm.
I mean, I remember going into I was in junior high school, and yeah, junior high school, and would go to the library in high school, go to the library, get the like USA Today, and get cut out every Tuesday. They said the basketball stats. I don't know if they still do that for the USA Today. They probably do, but every Tuesday I was excited, and I would rip out the stats of all the teams. And that's how I mean, I collected cards, I watched the games, all those things, but I was into that. That was like statistics and box scores and scouting reports. It's still into this day.
Same.
Still, yeah, still love that. But I wasn't supposed to do that. Go to study hall, get the newspaper, and rip out the thing. But like you said, I was doing that too. Not working on the work, but making my own box scores and
Yeah.
understanding that. Yeah, so I can definitely resonate on how the beginning of how your journey started, your story started, of how you got into basketball and other sports too.
It definitely gave me an outlet as
Hmm.
to doing something, right? And then to obviously I, volunteered at various radio stations
Hmm.
and also the Raptors TV at the time. And that's how I kind of honed my skill set into, okay, I actually like the productions and product behind the scenes and like copy
Yes.
edits and,
Hmm.
putting that together and then seeing how a series or a program goes from stage one to where it actually shows up on your TV screen as well. And
Yeah.
so things like that led me to then working at Omni Television, which was a South Asian music show. And I
Okay.
was able to intertwine how elements of basketball to that show too. So I had this one story about ballers who want to be rappers and rappers who want to be ballers because that was the nuance back then too. And
Yeah.
to this
Hmm.
day too, right? You have like Dame Dollar who is so into rap and who also balls. Like, what a great combination. Like that
Yes.
music so resonates so much with these players. So it's great that I was able to, put that story to bring that story to life and then uh, evolve it from there.
Yeah, it's so much fun. So we got a couple comments here. Nathan Ramasandra, always a loyal listener. He says, happy Women's History Month to you. And he was like, yeah, in fact, you're right. Like it was interesting, like you said, basketball players, ballers, and music kind of, I mean, it goes way back in from the Fab Five days. I remember when Michigan, they were a big, huge integral part of the hip hop culture with basketball, and they brought in like the fashion with the baggy shorts, and that was back in the mid '90s. And then you had others that used to that rap, like you said, from Dame Lillard today, from Dame Lillard to others, but you had even Allen Iverson from
Yep.
before then. You had Shaq back then; he did it early '90s. He was rapping intertwining, so it does go hand in hand, and you have that the hip hop culture. Because even I remember those commercials, those Jadakiss and AAI, Allen Iverson. They had the
Yes.
commercials, sneakers, and Kevin Garnett and Styles P from the Locks. I mean, it all intertwines. So that is interesting that he said the music and basketball always intertwine. But you got a question in the chat, which is a good question. Who are some of the mentors that you looked up to? That's from Nathan from the Nathan Sports Rush podcast.
Great question.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of my mentors were those that women who were in the sport. I would say Norma Wick. She used to be an anchor for
Mhm.
Raptors TV at the time, and one of the things that really resonated with me was when she said, women would always say, I like sports, or men too, but do you know the history of the sport? Do you know
Yeah.
the background of it? And that really stuck out to me because, like, if I want to succeed in this industry, I need to know all the things that happened prior to the history of the game
Yeah.
and how it's evolved to where it is today. And so that was a big one. Of course, my mom, and I know she's listening today, but
Hi, mom.
Hi, Mom.
Yes, yes.
One of my biggest mentors, one of my biggest cheerleaders. Like my
Yeah.
mom was like, she might have been skeptical at times. That, is this really going to work? But she was always like, okay, go for it. Like, you
Yeah.
got this. Like, you can do it. And so she always was my cheerleader, my biggest supporter, and like just everything to me. So uh, definitely her as well. And a lot of people within the Toronto sports scene, I was able to just witness and they saw me and I would just ask them questions and I would, you know, even Doris Burke, though I did not have any interaction with her, I just feel like she, from afar looking in, is just such a big mentor to me. Just
Yeah.
seeing how accomplished she is and what she's capable of and what we can do to aspire to doing things like at the level that she's at.
Yeah.
Totally.
Right, right. I mean, that was a good question. Great. And as you said, you got to have that support system
Yeah.
to, and as you said, you have your mom and your family as part of that support system. I believe this is your mother on here, the comments. So yes, thank you for tuning in and listening. Really appreciate that as well. So really appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, let's move into, as you say, you're the host of the Inside the Purple Room, and well, before we go into that, let's get back into your love for the Toronto Raptors, and you I saw that you said you witnessed the championship with them when they won with Kawhi Leonard and Kyle Lowry and that team too. The Toronto Raptors, their history, Trace McGrady, Vince Carter, Chris Bosh. There's like so much rich history. Damon Stoudemire, like there's so much rich history with this team. But talk about that love for the Toronto Raptors, and even for today, from back in the day, and even today.
Oh, my love, like it's just so pure. It's like my one of my first loves, like every
Yeah.
time anyone talked to me, they always talk to me as like Raptor Girl. Like that was my Hotmail account.
Yes.
Growing up, uh, one of my most recent stories is when the Raptors were in the midst of winning the championship. I was
Mhm.
at the time working for the Heat, and everyone at the Heat knew my love for the Raptors and knew how much like they just meant to me. And so it's funny because the CMO would always engage with me, and he's the best of the best.
Yeah.
And he would always be like, "Are you going home today? Like, it's the championship. Are you gonna go?" I was like,
Yeah.
I would fly home, I kid you not, every series, every weekend to try, of course, to make it because I'm like, this is my moment too. Like
Yeah.
I
Yes.
invested so much of my time, energy, everything into it. And so when they won the championship, it was like an outer body experience for
Oh
me.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And so even like being witness to at the championship parade, I remember leaving. My brother lived downtown, so I remember leaving my house at 6 a.m. waiting outside all day because there were no like the barricades at the it was such a poorly set up parade.
Mhm.
So just you had to be static wherever you were. And so I was at the end of the parade and waited, I kid you not, like 8 hours for them to come to City Hall and then have their little
Mhm.
speeches and everything like that. It was like the ultimate experience. But there's like, you remember when you and where you were when Vince Carter was in the dunk contest in 2000.
Oh yes.
My brother and I were literally at home, like screaming at the TV, like we could not believe what we were seeing. And then my first opportunity to cover the All-Star game with the Purple Room was in 2012 when Terrence Ross won it, and
Yep. I
it was
remember. Yeah.
2012. I remember Raptors PR being like, just hop on the podium because they were so far to reach. And like, you're in the scrum setting. So you're like,
Mhm.
I'm like just sticking out my hand, like just trying to interview him. And then when he won, it was like there was this for Raptors media to go into the room and then just like, engage with them. And I'm like, how does it feel to be like a household name now? Like this is a moment,
Yeah. Yeah.
like your mama I made it moment. And so it was really cool to be part of that time and like witness where the Raptors were and where they are now. Like, well, obviously not at this present moment, but
Right. Right. They're
fun to
building. They're building.
so, yeah,
Yes.
rebuilding is it's hard, like I
Mhm.
witnessed those days when they were pretty much not when they were rebuilding as well, and it was hard, it was a struggle, it was people would
Yeah.
be like, "The Raptors suck, like, why do you cheer for them?" Like and I would stick up for them,
Yeah. You're a
like,
fan. Like you're a fan. You're gonna stick with your team
right?
regardless.
And
Right.
live and
Right.
die by this team, like, they
Yes.
are my
Yes.
heart, they're my
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
get that. I get that because I'm a I'm a it's funny, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan from the 90s, the early 90s, and stuck with them throughout. And the Bulls haven't been really good in a long time. And but I mean, I think the last Bulls good team was the Derrick Rose years. And so I understand it. But I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, football diehard Eagles fan. So when they win the Super Bowl, I get that. I get the experience, like you said. The Eagles have bad years, really bad years, and people are like, oh, they're not going to be good. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. Then they win their first Super Bowl, in 2017. And it's like, oh my goodness, as you said, it's an out of body experience. You witnessed this, and they beat the great Tom Brady with that, and you're like, oh my! And then because I live here in Philly, and
Yeah.
I saw the parade. I watched it on TV, saw the parade, got to celebrate with all the Eagles fans, and saw you wait hours before they just like said they fly down. We call it Broad Street here. It's the Broad Street, and they go down to City Hall and everything too to the art museum and his speeches and all that. And we just witnessed it again this year, their second one in 2025. So I totally understand that fandom of your favorite teams, and you finally get to witness championship in a parade, and you watch that. It's like, wow, yeah, it's a great
Right?
experience. Yeah, for
It
sure.
and so this being their 30th year in the league,
Right.
I
Hmm.
thought it was necessary to bring out a reboot of Inside the Purple Room.
Okay. Yeah.
This time around, so I'm recapping every season, but through my fandom, through witnessing through the stages of life that
Mm,
I was in and where I
yeah.
was. And so I was lucky enough to have the former play-by-play voice of the Toronto Raptors. I had a chance to interview him, Chuck Swirsky, who is now the radio voice for the Chicago Bulls. And
Mhm.
so that will be coming out this weekend. So
Okay.
tune
Yeah.
in for that one.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and I think that's a great concept too. As you said, 30 years of the Raptors, from your point of view
From
of
my point of view, yeah.
living it and interviewing and others, and just you said, not just as a fan, but uh, from your point of view, from on the digital side as well, digital marketing side, you're just like, hey, I'm just sharing my stories, my experiences, from that pulling back the curtain of what made you a fan and the love of
Exactly.
this team. I like that. I really like that. So I'm looking forward to the other episodes you got coming up. So let's transition into that.
Yeah.
The Purple Room, inside the Purple Room, and Passion Project podcast. How did that get started? And you kind of hit on a little bit, but how did that get started? And with your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah. So Inside the Purple Room kind of got started as a way to gain experience being in front of the camera, as well as just gaining reps. And so I was just like, okay, what's something I love? Of course, it's the Toronto Raptors, and how can I make it my own?
Hmm.
So I was able to get help creating an intro, and then the fact, like, I would script out what I wanted to say after watching the game. So whether that be the night after the game was done or the next morning, I would be dedicated to posting a video every day. And I would touch on my life experiences as well as, how the game transpired. But I really wanted to make it a little bit different, that not it wasn't just the game and the facts, but it was just there was more of an element of fun and excitement
Mm.
and what was happening within. And so that grew into a show called Always Looking Up. And Always Looking Up was about poking fun at my height. And so I was like, it was always looking up in a short girl's world. So when I would go to games, I would have the opportunity to go to maybe starting out, maybe 5 games a month or
Yeah.
something like that. And I would go into the visiting team's locker room and I would really study up on the various players who I would want to interview and like kind of ask them questions that they might not get asked, but fun, interesting questions that I would then put a story around and kind of put out into the universe. And so it would be like 2 shows I would do. So then Inside the Purple Room would be more about the recaps, and then Always Looking Up would be more about these fun, exciting interviews with the players. And then passion projects came about as something like I was itching to do something different too, and
Different.
like
Right.
really, really hone into my like thinking about my passions and And so the whole concept behind passion projects was talking to those people who have made their passion projects either their side hustle or their full-time career, and
Mm,
how they got started doing that, and hoping that that resonates with the audience that's listening too, to really let them know that you don't have to just be tied down to your 9 to 5. There are various ways in which you can branch out to follow your dreams and
yeah.
whatever you want to be doing.
Oh, I love that. I like that. As you said, it's very interesting that as you said, you're not tied down to just that 9 to 5 job. I mean, there's the other things you can work at. People always sometimes ask, how can I, if I'm working a full time job or something else, but I do like to do other things, like say you sports and you're into podcasting or something like that. How can I find the time? It's like you definitely can find the time. You just like you said, you're not tied down to the job in itself. Um, go for your passions, and I've he said been pushed to continue to pursue this.
Yeah.
My wife is a big supporter. Big, she's always pushing me to continue to do this, continue to interview, continue to do the podcast, and continue to go out there and get to do some content. So I definitely resonate with that passion project, and really then might turn that passion project into a career.
Exactly. And
Mhm.
to your point, the support system is so key as well.
Yes,
The encouragement is so helpful too, because of course there can be days where you get into a rut and you're just like, I don't know why I'm doing this or whatnot.
yes.
But
Hmm.
when you have the people around you pull you out of that, that really also helps.
Yeah, it does, really does. Because there's, like I said, there's days when you said don't feel like it, or there's
Yeah.
when we know like even the landscape of sports media and business in general can be, as you said, you've kind of you've been through the trenches and trying to get through the scrum and all that. It gets a lot. There's people that they push around. Some of them are very. I was just talking to someone else. Some of them are very rude because and things like that. But you got to find your way to say, okay, do I really want to get into this, or I can get into something I can do a one-on-one interview with someone. I don't want to be part of this part of media where they're looking for stories and they're looking, that's a hustle. That's great. But for some,
Exactly.
it's better just to do something like this, interviewing style, and you can get that one-on-one. But I just love the storytelling of it too.
Yeah, I mean, to your point too, I was always the one that would be like, "Okay, like, let them do their scrub, and then can I just get out a little
Yes,
more
yes.
with the
Hmm.
player?" So something
Hmm.
that's, like, not really pertaining specifically to the game, but,
Something else, yeah,
yeah,
something that
something
you interview, let's say, an athlete, and you're looking more for them to, uh, you know, ask them about something on the court or on the field, something that they love to do that they might have posted on their social media. There's just different ways you can find interesting stories, which I'm always for that too. I mean, yes, we could do the X's and O's and get
exactly.
that, but kind of ask them certain different questions like how would you celebrate if you did win or
Yeah,
something, try to find different ways to get different content.
exactly. See what your audience likes as well,
Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes.
what resonates with them.
I like that too. So, all right, just got a couple more before I let you go. And like I said, this has been a lot of fun. We got to do this again for
Yeah.
sure. But who are some of your favorite Toronto Raptors of all time? Like that's who's like a couple the ones like maybe someone that people don't really know about or even whatever. Like who are your favorite couple of your favorite Toronto Raptors that you've covered or that you're a fan of all time? It could be from past, present, or yeah, or past or today.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I know that's a tough question.
Yeah.
One of them is definitely Amir Johnson. Him and I had such
Yes.
a great rapport, and we had these back in my YouTube back to if you like search through my YouTube, you'll see we had this on media day. We had like these little fun always looking up moments together. So
Yeah.
I would set goals for him and he's like, okay, yeah, achievable. Or like he would be hosting an event and like I'd go cover that. So
Yeah.
he was one of my favorites. Um, I would say Kyle was so fun to interview as well. Like he's really into golf and we got a chance to like really go back and forth talking about golf. I'm really into golf as well. Like
Okay.
it was another fun thing as well. Um, Demar was one of my
Oh
favorites.
man, yeah, DeMar DeRozan, yes.
I interviewed Demar when he was like in a rookie, and he was just so knowledgeable as well, and just like would give such great answers. But just to see the evolution of Demar and
Mm,
how and where he's come, it's oh, I'm so obsessed with his game, and I was so devastated when that
yeah.
trade had fired. Like, I remember where I was when, and it was like yelling. I could not believe it. Obviously, it ended up being great for the Raptors, but like just in my mind, I was like, what would have been if they could have just
I
kept him?
know. Yes, that combination of him and Kyle Lowry was just I know they were like best friends
Yes.
and you know that hurt. I know that hurt Kyle Lowry big time too, that he had to that DeMar left, well, you know, got traded or whatever. And but you said it worked out for the best for all parties. So yeah, DeMar was yeah, all time a great Raptor.
And one of the underrated Raptors who might not be talked about, but Grievous Vasquez was one of my favorites
Mm,
as well. He was
hmm.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. Well, love that. Love that. You know, some of some of the Raptors that you've covered and been able to know and get to know and share
Yeah.
their stories as well. And you said, you know, the Hall of Famers, Trace McGrady, Vince Carter, of course, and you know Kawhi Leonard, uh, who I know he's had a special place. Played 1 year, they win a championship, and then he leaves, but he the shot against the Sixers, the 7-8 bounce shot that went
Mhm.
in Game 7 is I'm sure it's like one of the all time great moments in Toronto. Is one of the all time great moments in Toronto Raptors history.
The best. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Like, I to this day, I still watch and replay it
Yeah.
all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
I'm showing my son, I'm like, and most recently, Kawhi just hit a game winner, against
Yeah.
the Kings
Hmm.
as well. I'm
Yep.
like, "Does he only hit bounce like, does it only bounce off the rim?" Like, at the final buzzer? Like, is that his shot?
That was an unbelievable shot. That was unbelievable. I remember watching that live, and you know, as you said, I live in Philly, so I'm not a Sixers fan, but follow the team.
Yeah,
And it's when that was going on, that was a year that the Sixers they had Jimmy Butler, and that was a year that they, you know, this was supposed to be their championship window, their year of oh this is it, the Game 7, and it just they've never been the same since since
no.
that shot. As like oh my goodness, that just put the Sixers out, and it just Kawhi shot that shot from the corner, and it just bounced on the back rim, bounced again, and then it just said boom, just ran right in. Me and my wife was just like because she's a big Kawhi Leonard fan, and she just was just jumping up and down. Was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe it!"
Oh my gosh, to be at the game would have been, like,
oh
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah, right? So wild. I wasn't at the game specifically, but oh my gosh,
yeah.
I remember being with my family and them being like, "I don't know if they really have a chance." I'm like, "No, you gotta believe. You gotta
Gotta
believe."
stay believing. Yes, for sure. You have to believe because that was the year they brought Kawhi for that year to help put him over the hump, and they were so close. You know, and they finally got over that second round hump and made it to the finals and beat the Warriors, a great Warriors team,
Oh, yeah.
and win their championship. So hopefully, like you said, the Raptors could get it together and again and get back into this from this rebuild and everything too. So they seem like they're getting putting pieces together to be more competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I hope my son gets to see in his lifetime as well,
Mm,
them win a championship again. It was, like, the best feeling. You know, he's already practicing his basketball moves,
okay.
trying to emulate Scotty Barnes, or I'll tell him, I'll tell him Jacoby Walter had a game winner. He's like, okay, Jacoby Walter.
I love that. I love that. Hey, that's where you start. You just start with
Yep, molding them young, right?
yeah, yes, yeah, when they're young and they learn the history and
Yes,
start watching other players. And I mean, my nephew, he's into basketball. He's 6 years old, and he just this was the second year playing, and he started to really he wants to go to games. He wants to go to watch live, and high school, and he's getting really into it. He practices all the time, and I told him like, hey, this is how you start. If you really want to continue to keep playing it, you got to continue to work hard and
exactly.
watch others watch other players, and you don't have to pattern your game with that, but you can watch the games and understand it, kind of like what we said when we were growing up. Just
Yep.
that's how you do it. So, all right, last question before I let you go. It's like I said, it's Women's History Month, and I wanted to ask you. I always ask my guests last question: what does Women's History Month mean to you on a professional and personal level?
I think from a professional level, it shows me how far women have come from, especially in sports. I mean, it was not being able to be in the locker room to now being able to ask the questions, and to from
Yeah.
also going from the sidelines to being play by play, or just being in different facets of the game as well,
Hmm.
being a lead in digital and seeing all these leaders, women leaders within holding high positions in the sports scene has really made me proud to be a woman, and uh, to be here, to be part of it, to
Yeah.
see what I'm seeing at this high level.
Yeah, for sure. For
And
sure. I love that.
yeah, I was going to say personally, I think it means just having an opportunity to put myself out there, and showcase to the world that we're here. I understand sports, we understand sports as women, we study the game, um, we follow our passions as well, where we can do this as much as the next person.
Mhm. All right, I like that. I like that answer, and you're right. It's amazing to see if we just look at it just from a sports perspective, women in sports, whether they're athletes, coaches, GMs, owners, uh, play by play, with media, uh, podcasters, broadcasters. Yes, I love seeing it, and it's just CEOs just continue to keep pushing the doors down. Women in the sports, women's basketball has grown. Women's sports has grown from
Yes.
volleyball to I love seeing this because I'm a big, huge advocate of women's sports and media and business. And every time I see someone doing well, getting a promotion or getting opportunities, and to just keep pushing down the door. So I'm all for it, and hopefully it'd be just to be an ally, to share, uh, to have platforms for women to share their stories. So yes, I really really like that.
Yeah,
So
thank you so much for allowing us to have this platform to be able to share these stories, and to hope that that resonates with other women who are out there who are searching for, finding their passion or what they would love to be doing, and see them successful.
yeah, yes, exactly. Paul, this has been such a good, great conversation. Glad, like I said, so glad to get to know you a little bit and connect and network with you, and hopefully we can continue this. Now I always say you come on for a second time, you're a podcast family, so you're part of the Real Deal podcast
Love
family,
it.
and not a guest, and now it's family. So yes, I always say that. But this has been a great conversation, and a great story, that you were able to share. So I really appreciate that, and thanks again for coming on the Women's History Month series, and let everyone know they can follow you, and the YouTube channel and the podcast, and talk, that the floor is yours to throw out your socials and things like that.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to, listen to my story, and be here. You guys can follow me on at Payal Doshi on YouTube, and at Payal Doshi TV on Instagram and X.
Yes, yes. So Payal Doshi again. Look forward to continue. Look forward to the the project that you are working on with the Toronto Raptors, the 30
Me
years. Yes, I've enjoyed it so far, and yeah, look forward to all the content you got coming up. So again, have a great weekend. Thank you again, and we'll like I said, we'll do this again as well.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, everyone, have a good weekend and enjoy it. And St. Patrick's Day weekend. So hopefully everyone enjoys and stay safe. All right,
Yeah.
have a good one.